Welcome. Welcome everyone to the Interfaith Prayer meeting number 163. We hold these meetings to foster the devotional character of our society and to bring understanding among various religions and its followers. The common foundation of all religions. Thereby, we try to remove the religious prejudice, which is one of the serious obstacles for world peace and unity. I hope who are here and who are listening on the online on YouTube, wherever you are, share these ideas in your circles so that we can achieve unity and peace very soon. As usual, we will start with the honoring the indigenous people and the land. When it comes to the honoring the indigenous people, I find it is pertinent to share this quotation from the Universal House of Justice, the supreme administrative body of the Baha'i faith. It says there is widespread acknowledgement that the present-day structures of society are ill-prepared to address the needs of humanity in its current travails. Much that was widely assumed to be certain and unshakable is being questioned, and the resulting ferment is producing a longing for a unifying vision. The chorus of voices raised in support of oneness, equality, and justice shows how many share these aspirations for their societies. I say this is applicable all over the world, and particularly here where the indigenous people are actually looking for the oneness, equality, and justice. They have been living in this land for more than 60,000 years with their own spirituality, culture, laws, and customs and languages. So we acknowledge and pay respect to the past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation we call Australia, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tribes were the first sovereign nations of the Australian continent. The Gadigal of the Eora Nation are the traditional custodians of this place we now call Sydney. And Wangal people are the traditional owners of Burwood, where my wife Vasanta and I live. Please, we are going into the devotional part. Please mute your mic unless you are going to read or speak.
Joining the chord, all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the heart. Unite and bind together the heart. Joining the chord, all the souls. Joining the chord, all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. Joining the chord, all the souls. Joining the chord, all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the heart. Joining the chord, all the souls. Joining the chord, all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. The
O you kind Lord, O thou who art generous and merciful, we are the servants of thy threshold, and are gathered beneath the sheltering shadow of thy divine unity. The sun of thy mercy is shining upon all, and the clouds of thy bounty shower upon all. Thy gifts encompass all, thy loving providence sustains all. Thy protection overshadows all, and the glances of thy favor are cast upon all. O Lord, grant thy infinite bestowals, and let the light of thy guidance shine. Illumine the eyes, gladden the hearts with abiding joy, confer new spirit upon our people, and bestow upon them eternal life. Unlock the gates of true understanding, and let the light of faith shine resplendent. Gather our people beneath the shadow of thy bounty, and cause them to unite in harmony, so that they might become as the rays of one sun, as the waves of one ocean, and as the fruit of one tree. May they drink from the same fountain. May they be refreshed by the same breeze. May they receive illumination from the same source of light. You are the giver, the merciful, the omnipotent. Abdu'l-Baha Prayer, page 600 to 101.
When once a man can see that all diversity of contingent beings abides in one alone, and from that alone they radiate, then the Brahman he attains. Bhagavad Gita. Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. As the dew of heaven, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. Old Testament Psalms. Ye have heard that it had been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. New Testament, Matthew. The purpose for which mortal men have from utter nothingness stepped into the realm of being is that they may work for the betterment of the world and live together in concord and harmony. Baha'u'llah.
And hold fast altogether by the rope which God stretches out for you, and be not divided among yourselves, and remember with gratitude God's favor on you. For ye were enemies, and he joined your hearts in love, so that by his grace ye became brethren. And ye were on the brink of the pit of fire, and he saved you from it. Thus doth God make his signs clear to you, that ye may be guided. Be not like those who are divided among themselves, and fall into disputations after receiving clear signs. Holy Quran.
Be united, speak in harmony, let your minds apprehend alike. Common be your prayer, common be the end of your assembly, common be your resolution, common be your deliberations, alike be your feelings, unified be your hearts, common be your intentions, perfect be your unity in doing.
It is incumbent upon every man in this day to hold fast unto whatsoever will promote the interests and exalt the station of all nations and just governments. Through each and every one of the verses which the pen of the Most High hath revealed, the doors of love and unity have been unlocked and flung open to the face of men. We have erewhile declared, and our word is the truth, consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship, Whatsoever hath led the children of men to shun one another, and hath caused dissensions and divisions amongst them, hath, through the revelation of these words, been nullified and abolished. From the heaven of God's will, and for the purpose of ennobling the world of being, and of elevating the minds and souls of men, hath been sent down that which is the most effective instrument for the education of the whole human race. Of old it hath been revealed, love of one's country is an element of the faith of God. The tongue of grandeur hath, however, in the day of his manifestation proclaimed, it is not his to boast who loveth his country, but it is his who loveth the world. Baha'u'llah.
The purpose of the one true God, exalted be his glory, in revealing himself unto men, is to lay bare those gems that lie hidden within the mind of their true and inmost selves, that the diverse communions of the earth and the manifold systems of religious belief should never be allowed to foster the feelings of animosity among men, is in this day of the essence of the faith of God and his religion. These principles and laws, these firmly established and mighty systems, have proceeded from one source and are the rays of one light. That they differ one from another is to be attributed to the varying requirements of the ages in which they were promulgated. Baha'u'llah.
Know ye not why we created you all from the same dust, that no one should exalt himself over the other? Ponder at all times in your hearts how ye were created. Since we have created you all from the one same substance, it is incumbent on you to be even as one soul, to walk with the same feet, eat with the same mouth, and dwell in the same land, that from your inmost being, by your deeds and actions, the signs of oneness and the essence of the detachment may be made manifest. Such is my counsel to you, O concourse of light. Heed ye this counsel, that ye may obtain the fruit of holiness from the tree of wondrous glory. Baha'u'llah.
We work and pray for the unity of mankind, that all the races of the earth may become one race, all the countries one country, and that all hearts may beat as one heart, working together to perfect unity and brotherhood. Praise be to God that our efforts are sincere and that our hearts are turned to the kingdom. Our greatest longing is that the truth may be established in the world, and in this hope we draw near to one another in love and affection. Each and all are wholehearted and selfless, willing to sacrifice all personal ambition to the grand ideal towards which they strive, brotherly love and peace and union amongst men. Abdul Baha.
the sweetest water in the world, the sweetest water in the world, the sweetest water in the world. Why don't we drink it? I see a man dying, crawling through the desert, struggling to survive. He was praying to God to deliver him from his thirst, and begging not to die. The sweetest water in the world,
Sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world. Why don't we drink it? I see the world crying, drowning in a sea of dust, needing love to quench its thirst, searching for answers, searching to understand. Yet things are getting worse. We're looking for the sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world. Why don't we drink it? I see the blessed beauty standing with outstretched arms, a look of love in his eyes, and flowing from his hands like crystal mountain springs, the pure water of life. He's got the sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world. Why don't we drink it? Why don't we drink it? The sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world,
sweetest water in the world,
the sweetest water in the world. Why don't we drink it? The sweetest water in the world,
sweetest
sweetest water in the world.
Let us drink the sweetest water in the world. Thank you all for the readings, and we welcome all who joined late. And today's presentation is by Mr. Colin Dibden. He is one of our strong supporter of this forum, and he has presented many times. He is very much into the interfaith dialogue, and he has a blog where he put a lot of materials around these themes. And he's also an aviation enthusiast. And the topic that he is going to talk about is the sovereign remedy for every disease. Before we go into the presentation, after the presentation, we will have a discussion, question and answers. And we are trying to finish this today a little bit earlier than usual because there's another meeting to attend. But I'd like to share this quotation from the Universal House of Justice, the supreme administrative body of the Baha'i Faith. It says, whether through deeds or words, the merit of your every contribution to social well-being lies first in your resolute commitment to discover that precious point of unity, where contrasting perspectives overlap and around which contending peoples can coalesce. I often remind this in this forum and other forums, but we are all collectively trying to come to common understanding and bring unity and peace. So in that endeavor, we had to try and bring discover that precious point of unity in different opinions. Any topic that any issues that we discuss, there's bound to be different opinions. But if we are trying to bring unity and peace, we had to find the common point. And from there, we can grow our understanding better. So with that note, I hand over to Colin to give his presentation, and I stop this sharing so that he can share his PowerPoint.
Thank you very much, Siva, and thank you also for starting this group, because more than 3 years ago, because I've always been interested in interfaith dialogue, and this is, I've learned, I've been exposed to more faiths in this group than by any other means. So we've been talking about transformation. I'm just going to move something out of the way. And the title of the talk, The Sovereign Remedy for Every Disease, comes from this quote from Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i Faith, who wrote, "That which hath streamed forth from the most exalted pen is conducive to the glory, the advancement and education of all the peoples and kindreds of the earth. Indeed, it is the sovereign remedy for every disease, could they but comprehend and perceive it." So remedy and disease is an example of metaphors, and there are many metaphors to help us understand what's happening when a religion comes to the world. So we can think of it as the evolution, whether the evolution of us as an individual or of society. We can think of it as night changing into day by the rising of the sun, or the coming of spring again. We can think of it as birth or rebirth. That's a theme you find in the Bible, rebirth. And they asked Jesus, how can you be born again? It doesn't make sense, but from a spiritual perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Perception, this is another way, another metaphor that we start to see each other differently when we see with spiritual eyes. I used to see junior youth as a very troublesome and frivolous age group. Just wait till they get through it and they'll be all right at the other end, hopefully. And now we've learnt that the age group from about 12 to 15 is an age where they're going through changes, but they're starting to see with their own eyes, and they're starting to be able to act, and they want to. They want to do something useful for the world. So in junior youth groups, they look at their community around them, say what does it need, then they form their own little projects, and because of that happening, they're empowered for the rest of their life. They realise that their words matter and their deeds can make a difference. Another metaphor, education. The founders of the world's religions were the educators of humanity. It's very hard for a 5-year-old to educate itself. It doesn't get very far. And in that sense, we're all a bit like 5-year-olds. And this is the metaphor we're using now with the sovereign remedy, the idea of healing. The world is diseased in a sense. The definition of disease, a condition in which a body or structure is harmed because an organ or part is unable to work as it usually does, an illness. And the world is like a body that needs to work together. People, institutions and communities need to be able to work together, and at the moment they're not. So 2 kinds of transformation, transforming our true self and transforming society. Just very brief quotations to refresh our thinking about what these mean. I think there might be a bit of background noise from someone who's not muted. Okay, so Daniel Jordan wrote this very nice leaflet called "Becoming Your True Self," which was published, and you can find it online. The primary source of the power for transformation comes from an acceptance of the Word of God, often referred to as the creative word, precisely because human beings have felt themselves being created anew as they have become more and more exposed to it. And transformation, or healing, if we're using the healing analogy, of society. The spiritual view of evolution is the constant theme of religion. Every revelation refers to the past, looks forward to the future, and concentrates upon the immediate need for spiritual regeneration and enlightenment. The prophet evokes in human hearts a sacrificial love, which transcends self-interest and causes the early believers to dedicate themselves entirely to the practice and diffusion of the new message. As it spreads, it works like leaven in society, reforming its morals, uplifting its vision, and promoting a greater diffusion of love in social action. It's often observed that religion is the problem, or that human nature is prone to conflict, and the conclusion has been that no significant transformation is possible. And we can evaluate these ideas, and they should be, and they have been, and we do, but not tonight. In this presentation, we have to finish early, so we're just looking for examples of desirable change associated with religion. And this group has actually studied many, many examples of desirable change associated with religion. And the fact that we're just talking about it doesn't mean we're not doing it. When we're in a group, we're talking, and that's an achievement in itself, with so many diverse religions, backgrounds, people who ordinarily might not get along with each other. In this group, we do, so that's an achievement. And just a quick refresher, out of more than 160, we've had Marina talking on how Jesus transformed our understanding of suffering in a constructive way. Tracy told us how Indigenous spirituality informs the Uluru statement from the heart. Sunita, I didn't understand how she was going to connect compassion with climate change, but she did. She talked about some local projects which she's involved in a couple of different countries, and I was quite surprised. Ben talked about practical ways to achieve unity. Michael Fallon, a Catholic priest, who's written a lot, talked about his book, Divine Love in a Human Heart. Ashi talked about beauty and somehow made the presentation experiential. I identified some breakthroughs in interfaith dialogue, which, I mean, talking about transformation, the world has transformed in the last 124 years. There wasn't much interfaith dialogue before. Sananda talked about mindfulness. Zia talked about constructive resilience. And these are real experiences. I mean, there's thousands of people, thousands of Baha'is and others, of course, but in Iran, the Baha'is are imprisoned and persecuted, and without the understanding provided by Baha'u'llah, it will be very hard to be constructive, but they are. Herwig and his wife spent 20 years helping girls go to school and in the process transforming local communities. Halim, a professor from one of the universities in Queensland, explained how the Quran introduced agreements of peace, which didn't exist before Muhammad came, and yet afterwards became the foundation of the nation state. And Ahmed talked about blueprint for transformation. So that's just a refresher. There are many examples of the connection between religion and transformation. Now, signs of transformation. How do we see it? Are we seeing it? Is it happening now? Well, every several years, the Universal House of Justice provides the Baha'i world and the whole world, because it's on their public website, with an assessment of progress over the past few years and the success or challenges with all the efforts which have been put in and the learning which has been built on that. And they condense that learning into however many pages. It might be a dozen pages, could even be 20 pages, but I'm sure that they've collected many thousands and thousands of reports, analysed them, and they have a pretty good view of what's happening in the world. And they outline what they believe is possible over the next few years. So in 2021, based on their understanding of reality and achievements, they provided this message. And this is just one paragraph, which struck me very much when the message came out. It's the fourth paragraph of that message. I think we have time to read it. It's just a paragraph. But to set the scene, this paragraph can be read as an ideal, or you can read it as a plan for yourself or for your community, or you can use it as a measurement of where the world is now or the progress we're making. Is the world at ease or is it diseased? Is our community functioning well? Am I doing well? And these are some of the things which this prosperity, consultation, order, reason, oneness, realism, effort, freedom, learning, and advancing. Those are just words which I took out of the paragraph just to give you a snapshot. Now, this is a paragraph. It's not that long, so I'm going to read it. And pay attention, because all those 10 points are in there, and have a think. How is the world going compared to each of these points? And is there anything there that I think I could identify and achieve for myself? I mean, for myself, yes, definitely. The enkindled souls, being raised up through the processes of the plan, are seeking to gain an ever more profound understanding of Baha'u'llah's teachings, the sovereign remedy for every disease, and to apply them to the needs of their society. They are committed to the prosperity of all, recognizing that the welfare of individuals rests in the welfare of society at large. They are loyal citizens who eschew partisanship and the contest for worldly power. Instead, they are focused on transcending differences, harmonizing perspectives, and promoting the use of consultation for making decisions. They emphasize qualities and attitudes such as trustworthiness, cooperation, and forbearance that are building blocks of a stable social order. They champion rationality and science as essential for human progress. They advocate tolerance and understanding, and with the inherent oneness of humanity uppermost in their minds, they view everyone as a potential partner to collaborate with and they strive to foster fellow feeling even among groups who may traditionally have been hostile to one another. They are conscious of how the forces of materialism are at work around them, and their eyes are wide open to the many injustices that persist in the world. Yet, they are equally clear-sighted about the creative power of unity and humanity's capacity for altruism. They see the power that true religion possesses to transform hearts and overcome distrust. And so, with confidence in what the future holds, they labour to cultivate the conditions in which progress can occur. They share their beliefs liberally with others, remaining respectful of the freedom of conscience of every soul, and they never impose their own standards on anyone. And while they would not pretend to have discovered all the answers, they are clear about what they have learned and what they still need to learn. Their efforts advance to the alternating rhythm of action and reflection. Setbacks leave them unfazed. In places where growing numbers are helping to build communities of this character, the power of the cause to transform people's social existence as well as their inner lives is becoming increasingly visible. Earnest pursuit of the plan's central aim will, we are sure, cause many, many such communities to emerge. So that's the paragraph which I like. I mean, I like everything which comes from the Universal House of Justice, but that gave me some things to work for. So I'd just like to invite, as we just go through these points two by two, to invite interruptions, stories, reflections, experiences, anything. You may have to put your hand up so that you'll appear on my screen near the top using the reactions button if there's anything which comes up. But I'd just like to skip down to one and offer my own example, my own experience, and that is they see the power that true religion possesses to transform hearts and overcome distrust. And this is kind of to get the ball rolling. My experience is that prayer and reading, maybe both together, if it's just words, it doesn't do much. Just words. I might not even be listening to myself. But if I take the time to find a quiet place and empty myself a little bit, and sometimes that's not easy. After 20 minutes, I might still have all these thoughts rushing around, but it can be done. I mean, quite often I'll ride my bicycle up and down a few hills, and that makes me, the only thing I'm thinking of then is getting my breath back. And then as I'm getting my breath back, then I find anyway, these are kind of mindfulness techniques, I suppose. But the idea is to try and clear the heart and the mind. And maybe that needs God's grace to achieve that. I can't always achieve it. But when it happens, then the prayer might start off being for myself, but there's a kind of a switch. And suddenly it becomes a prayer for everyone I know, and a feeling of not of being with God, but longing to be there, maybe being at the gate and just hoping. And then, if I in that state, a problem will get solved, or maybe the day will go very nicely, and things will all coincide and fit together until next time. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. Yeah, Siva.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. And this particular paragraph 4, is my favorite paragraph in that message. but the more that I read, my understanding becomes much deeper and deeper. I will start question from the very beginning. The enkindled souls. At the beginning, when I was reading, I thought this was referring to the Baha'is. But the more that I read it over and over and reflect on it, I think it is referring to the wider scope where people they are transformed within themselves through their own experience with the Word of God, whatever the religion they may follow. Am I correct in my understanding, or what is your understanding?
I think you must be correct, because the neighborhoods where there's the most transformation are those where the people are trying to put into practice the teachings of Baha'u'llah, regardless of whether or not they are themselves Baha'is. And in many cases, many or even most of them aren't Baha'is. No one can coerce someone else's belief. It's if Baha'i is true, if Baha'u'llah is true, then that will be a realization that that's between the individual and God. So I think you're right.
Thank you. And Jung and then Marina.
Oh, yeah, muted there, Jung, but I can hear you in the other room.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Silva. I just want to remind you about the story in the Bible. You're talking about sign of transformations. And one other thing does there right in front of us. Clause number 9, sign of transformation. One of them was effort. And in the effort, there was a writing about the power that true religion possess to transform hearts and overcome distrust. And so with confidence in what the future holds, they labor to cultivate the conditions in which progress can occur. The progress of transformation can occur. But I just want to remind you about the story in the Bible about the destroy of two towns, Gordon and Sockmore. When the two town people don't trust God and play too much, not doing any prayer, have all the immoral activity happening, drinking, do all this sort of thing that offended God. Jesus asked, I will destroy the two towns, the two cities in a very near future. So the angels begged God to forgive the town and let people, if you can take 40 people, virtuous people come out of the town to tell me that they believe God, then I will forgive, not to destroy the town. And the angel said they could not find any 40 people from that town. So therefore, the town being destroyed. I don't know whether they have too many diseases in there. Talk about physical disease because they lay around one another and all that, and or spiritual disease, so they cannot be cured, so they had to be destroyed. So therefore I said, whether the fast destroy and rebuild again, or you go slowly, because in your talking you talk about education, but you should give the time frame of education, like how long I can educate the people in the two towns, Gordon and Gogmore. Sodom and Gomorrah is in a movie. It was made in a movie in Hollywood, in America. So they say God destroyed the town because too many diseases in there. Physical, material, spiritual, moral, nothing in there. So what we do here? How we transform people when they're hopeless? We can't transform them. because they're not listening. They're not, and we don't give them an education time frame. Don't give them resources. We gotta do it quick fix.
Okay, so can I rephrase your question that there are some people that we cannot transform them, right? And how are we going to achieve? That's your question, is that right?
I mean, we had to stay with the Bible story. Sodom and Gomorrah. I watch the movies.
Okay.
When people left the town, and if they feel sorry, they turn back to look at the town, they will become stones. God make them become stones. God punish them.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, with the transformations,
yes.
and especially in this topic, because it's Colin said, oh, today I'm gonna talk very quick and short. I don't want to make it long. But because now the Bible story is in there, so I had to remind people that disease, you say sovereign remedy for every disease, but I don't think so. You talk about sovereign. Here, you talk about God, or you talk about emperor, or you talk about king, or you talk about queen. Who is the emperor? Who is the sovereign? And what sort of remedy for people who are so sick? The whole town, they cannot find 40 people that's spiritual. All physical or materialistic, lay together, string, no work, nothing, no morality, nothing. So what they do? Too many disease, they cannot cure, they gotta bomb it. They gotta bomb the place.
Okay.
Okay.
So what
maybe I'll comment on that. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. We can't change anything, especially and this whole world, the best leaders in the world can't change anything. Really, if God created us and He loves us and He has the power, which He does, so He can change things. And if He destroys a city, or if the city destroys itself, then that's probably a hidden mercy, just a different way that love is shown. But yeah, that's a good question. We can't do much, but it's a process.
Can I comment here for a moment?
Oh, if it's quick.
Yeah, but we should not forget that.
Sorry, Ahmad. Let's listen to Marina and then Usha, and after that you can come.
Well, then it would be other questions. I want to talk about this question.
No. That question Colin has answered. Let's listen to Marina.
Yeah, we'll come back.
I just want to say a story about the prosperity, how the individual wellness depends on the whole community. It's just, as Sivan knows, I go to the local park, and there was a lady who is has gone through a lot of difficult 10 years of health issues, and she had a dog, and she was walking past, and she said, oh, somebody said we should go to the local, she should go to the local park, then she'll get to know people. And she's been sort of so happy that when she came over, that, she was able to make friends, and she comes now every week evenings to have a social, because she came from a country to study here, but 10 years had health issues, so she hadn't met not any friends, and she's lost all the friends she had before, and she was so happy. So it's her well-being was depending on the whole park locals around there. And I just want to say that was, it's something which I agree that, one individual's wellness is on the local area, or whatever you call it.
For sure. I can relate to that. We're not like the song goes, we're not a rock or an island. We need people, and people need us.
That's right. Thank you.
Thanks, Marina.
Thank you. And Usha, yes.
Thank you. I want to say, first of all, that I like very much Colin's presentation, especially to put these categories. Colin, can you do me a favor and just take it up to the top where you started this passage?
There?
Yes. a little further up, because you created a kind of checklist. Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Where was this?
10 points.
Okay. So my question is, so these are the kind of, we tick the boxes, meaning how far has the world come in doing all of this, right? So what jumped out at me was learning, number 9, and please move down a little further. This learning, I think, stop please, the very first line, would you say the learning is seeking to gain an ever profound understanding?
Yes, and the second part, to apply them to the needs of
And to
society.
apply, okay, that was in my mind. And please, can you go down to the section that says effort? What jumped out for me, the category of effort, please?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Rather than, that we are told not so much that we should labor to cultivate progress. That would have been like the quick fix. But it's far from that. We actually have to cultivate the conditions in which progress can occur. So to me, it strikes me that we really have to empower people. You need to cultivate the conditions, whether it is in the workplace or in general. You have to provide the opportunity so that progress can take place. Those are just my points. Thank you.
That's a good point. And create the conditions. I mean, the thing we can work on most is our own self and the condition of our soul and our capacities for service. And then others can see that there's something in that God's given the world, that God's love is in the world, and then when the more people have this condition in their hearts and in their capacities, then progress can occur. And it's interesting, building on that, thinking about the conflict in the Middle East. I just finished reading a book, and the book was a compilation of documents written over the last 100 years by the main protagonists on each side of the conflict. And as I read, and before I read this book, I thought, okay, they just need someone to provide security. It's because they're providing their own security that they can't tell. It's not really fair that everyone, like in a schoolyard, each child shouldn't have to provide its own security. You need someone doing it for them, and then they can start consulting. So I thought that's the solution. But reading this book, I could see whenever I was reading a chapter from the Palestinian viewpoint, I said, yeah, you've got a point there. And I read the Israeli point. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very, very interesting. Two different narratives. It's not as simple. I mean, it can be simplified, but if the United Nations was able to live up to its charter and provide security, but what's really needed is a spiritual revolution. In other words, creating the conditions, which is the spiritual thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ahmed?
Regarding to Yon's question that she cannot see any remedy, or the remedy is not there for things, and Colin's answer, I have to say that in Kitab Iran, the Baha'u'llah says, sorry, that when God brings a new revelation and a new word and teachings, at the same time he protects those words and teachings and guides for those teachings and laws to spread in physical world, in humanity. So I believe that there is always protection by God behind all these revelations. And as a result of this protection, that remedy is achieved. Because I'll give you an example. in recent times, there were persecutions or inequality of men and women in Iran. And the women have arisen to ask their rights. So what happened? I'm sure guidance is from God for them to raise against inequality. So my belief is that when Baha'u'llah says these words are remedy for the world, it's because there is protection of God behind those words. And as a result, transformation will happen. But whether the transformation is quicker or slower, it's dependent on our response. The transformation will happen. Prosperity of the humanity will happen because the unity will be achieved eventually. But how soon that would happen depends on us, depends on individual transformations.
Yeah, I agree. God's promised world peace, so it will happen. And I used to think it would happen just suddenly, like come down out of a cloud, and we didn't have to actually change ourselves. It would just be peaceful. But now we're starting to see through a learning process what works and what doesn't, and what has to be done. And so when I see a problem in the world, I think, okay, well, I blame myself, because 20 years ago, maybe I could have provided a spiritual education class and the child became a leader, and that problem wouldn't have happened. Who knows? We can only really look at our own responsibility in the matter.
We have to look at it generally, not individually, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you. My understanding became better as you highlighted this paragraph. They see the power that true religion possesses to transform hearts and overcome distress. Again, at the very beginning when I was reading, I thought that true religion was referring to Baha'i faith. Now, as you were explaining these things, it came to my mind, which is the true religion? Every religion that was revealed by God are true religion. Now, so what is Baha'i faith is doing, or what Baha'u'llah's teaching is doing, is to bring them together. In the recent message, they said, the House said that there are ample evidences to show that religion can be a power for unity and civilization, or at the same time, it can be the cause for disunity and war and problems. But how that religion becomes disunity and war and things like that, because it declines its power when the followers, they interpret the words of God in different ways and become disunited, and saying that what I say is the right thing and what others say is wrong. Now, in a previous forum, I actually shared a quotation from Shoghi Effendi, which was explaining Baha'i faith relationships to the other religions, where it says that, I'm only paraphrasing it, that it is Baha'i faith is not there to overthrow any other religions. In the contrary, it is actually to revitalize, to restore their pristine teachings, to expand their foundation, and all these things. So in that light, every person who follows a religion in this world, they are following a true religion. But are they taking the real meaning of it? If they are taking the real meaning of it, then it will unify people. It will give progress. So in that sense, I see that this has a deeper meaning for me, and thank you for highlighting.
Okay, thank you, Siva.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes, and I like Jung to be brief, and if there are any other one who wants to comment or question, please put your hands. Don't wait for the last minute.
Yeah, thank you so much. I said, we try to avoid the word Middle East. That's what I said. We should stay close to the Bible, because this is all about the Bible, not a Middle East issue. Why they get bombs and everything? We try to avoid that. We don't want to talk about it. We talk about the Bible here. Sodom and Gomorrah, the two cities have been destroyed by God. Because they're disobedient to God, they're so sick that God cannot help them. To think that when you bring a patient into the hospital and the patient got multi-organs failure, they're so sick physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. What is the doctor going to do? The doctor cannot waste time to fix the patient, but ask for euthanasia if they wanted to, and thus help them to escape from the suffering. It's the same thing happened to lovely cats, lovely cat, but he's got multi-organs failure and cannot be saved. The God will have to put them down. And that is compassion. That's all it is.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, I agree. If we don't, when in a way God would put the world down, but He's letting us do it by ourselves. Thank you, Ahmed.
Oh, I think Vasanta is first because she hasn't said anything.
Is it? Okay. Thank you, Ahmad. And also Ahmad and then Sharonette. You had unmute, Vasanta.
I think Ahmed and
Thank you.
Chairman was before me, but my question is related to this, so I will go take this opportunity to go before you. The power of true religion, what do you mean by true religion? Because as my belief is that whatever the manifestation of God has brought, that we believe as true religion. But we see so many other people say that this is religion, that is the religion, and so many different cults. So how do you differentiate between true religion and what is not a true religion?
Yeah, my understanding, Abdul Baha wrote that the world doesn't need another religion. He said, God forbid, we don't need another religion. But rather, this is the one religion springing from a fresh stream. So it's the same source from a Baha'i perspective. And it's what the former religions promised would happen anyway. But of course, that's a Baha'i view. And in interfaith forums, we can't sort of impose that view, but we do look for ways to work together. So true religion, maybe that needs spiritual perception, just as we can see, I don't know, a fake banknote. If we know what to look for, it's a fake banknote. The same if we have spiritual perception, which means we're really submitting to God and trying to do His will and relying on His protection, then perhaps we can distinguish between a religion which creates unity and a religion which, so-called religion, which creates disunity, for example. Ahmed.
I got an answer for Vasanta as well. You know, when Baha'u'llah wrote to Queen Victoria, Queen Victoria replied, if this is from God, it will prosper. And if it's not, it will disappear. So the answer is really a true religion would have fruits. And if the fruits are there, if it flourishes, it's a true religion. If it's not, it will not flourish because God will not allow it. My kind of question or another comment is about the point you raised, prosperity. I think religion provides prosperity because religion unites people. And as a result of uniting people, they realize that their benefits comes from well-being of everyone else that is united. So I think prosperity is one of those points that comes through religion. When religion flourishes, it brings people together, and as a result, the welfare of the individuals and the society is taken care of through that religion.
Yeah, I agree. Religion enables people to consult. I mean, consultation is almost impossible when you're just clinging to your own ideas and fighting for your group's ideas. There's a book by Angela Ripley, New York Times author, I think, called High Conflict, and you can find her being interviewed on YouTube. And she has a chapter on Baha'i faith and Baha'i consultation, because she's looking at examples throughout the book of different ways to solve what she calls high conflict where it's gotten so deep that it's almost impossible to resolve. And she noticed that the Baha'i type of consultation is all about not allowing that kind of conflict to evolve in the first place. And the way our electoral system works, the way we prepare ourselves for consultation. So it's not just talking with other people, it's a spiritual process. Sharing it.
Yes, thank you. It has already been said. I just want to comment on the House's message and your keen articulation of prosperity. Paula in Kitabi Aqda said one of the responsibilities vested on Baha'is and every individual is that to contribute to ever advancing civilization. So prosperity comes when we sincerely trying to contribute to ever advancing civilization. So that's what my point I want to make. And then as a true seeker, and which is to answer which religion is a true religion, Baha'u'llah gave us guidance. He said, we must cleanse our hearts that no remnant of either love or hate may linger therein. Let that love blindly incline him to error, or that hate repel him away from the truth. So, in order for us to identify which is true religion, we must empty our past knowledge, free from everything, and then try to investigate whatever truth comes to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And you make an interesting point about one of the purposes of being Baha'i is to advance civilization, because I once witnessed a car accident, and what happened? I just stood there and waited to give a statement, and there was someone standing next to me, so we're chatting, and she turned out to be a Christian, and talked about, ended up talking about Baha'i and Christianity, and I said something about the purpose of religion being to create world peace, and she was in disagreement with that. She said, no, we have to just wait till Jesus returns and it'll just happen. So it's kind of a new thing since probably, like we had a talk by a Seventh-day Adventist pastor in this group, and he said the Christian solution, the Christian response to places like one country attacking another, he's talking about Ukraine, is pacifism. We don't do a thing, let it happen. That's the Christian response. And I think possibly he would have benefited from seeing how Muhammad had brought ways of constructing treaties and organizing communities, and the same with Baha'u'llah's teachings. Pena. You're muted.
Unmute. Pina, you had to unmute.
Sorry, yes, I thought it wasn't me. Yeah, regarding the question, how do we know that a religion is true? A religion is from God. So I have read earlier, I can't tell the reference, but it says that all religions that came from God will have their own prophets or messengers or manifestations of God, the founder. He will have his own holy book. He doesn't borrow the book from the Bible or from the Quran or from Bhagavad Gita, for example. He has his own holy book. And a manifestation of God must come from the descendants of Abraham. He must come from the East, not from the West. And he must have his own calendar. It's not easy to make your own calendar. Only a prophet of God can have his own calendar and a holy book. That's all I could remember at the moment. Those are the signs that a religion is true if they have their own founder coming from the seed of Abraham, with a holy book, with his own calendar, and it's got some followers. Yes, I'm just repeating. Thank you.
Those are good points, and some people, a lot of Baha'is get wrapped up in prophecy and all these signs, and I think that's all right. Obviously, the signs are there for a reason, that we were given signs to look for. But I think the proof of the fruits, the effectiveness, we're using the analogy today of a sovereign remedy. Now, when Baha'is and non-Baha'is are working together and creating vibrant communities in Western Sydney and in many places, probably the Baha'is are thinking, we're doing this because we believe in the physician, the doctor. Therefore, the remedy is going to be okay. Whereas the people who aren't Baha'is or aren't yet Baha'is are saying, we're doing it because we can see it works. A subtle difference. Marina, we've got a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, just thinking about which is true religion. I just believe that we all are born in a family with a religion. But if your prayers are answered through, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, or anything, that is a true religion. I'm not saying Christianity is the true religion because I'm a Christian. But if you were born, it doesn't mean that if you were born in Christianity and you became a Buddhism, that Christianity is not a true religion. If your requests are answered by God, then that is the true religion, I would believe. That's how I feel in my life.
Thank you.
Vasanta?
Thanks, Marina.
Yeah, that was a very good point, Marina. I really like that. Yes. Vasanta?
Sorry, my question is regarding the true religion from the manifestation of God, like Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, Muhammad, and there are so many other different sects that are claiming to be manifestation of God, and they are bringing unity and peace. So that is what my question was based on this. How do we differentiate? And I think many of you have answered my question, but the difference is I wanted to actually find the difference between some other sects or cults or something like that. So and what is from manifestation of God, like Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha.
Look, I think that at this time, the greatest need of the world is just to work together and solve these serious problems, illnesses, individual, community, and world. And if someone from a sect, as long as they're not a destructive sect, and we're all willing to collaborate, that's probably the best thing.
Can I comment something here? What Pino has said is the prophecies for coming of the new religion through Islam, because we know that Buddha or Krishna didn't come from Abraham, or South Americans had previously, prophets because of old times, and we do not have any evidences. Abdullah says there have been many manifestations of God in the past, but there is no evidence left from history. So I think having a book being descendant of Abraham and those things that Pina said are prophecies just for the coming of a new religion to Islam, not in generality, because Buddha or Krishna didn't come from Abraham or Confucius. So I think kind of clarify that.
Thank you. I just I wanted to share the quotation that I was mentioning. If can share this. Yeah, the first one was this one I shared in our WhatsApp group as well. I asked the question, when does the unifying and civilizing power of religion begin to decline? In my mind, in my view, all the religions are true religions, whether it is Judaism or Zoroastrianism or Buddhism or Islam or Christianity, they are all true religions. Now, when does a religion, the power of the religion to unify and civilizing power becomes less? And the House explains, history has amply demonstrated that religion can serve either as a powerful instrument for cooperation to propel the advancement of civilization, or as a source of conflict that yields incalculable harm. So we have ample evidence for this. The unifying and civilizing power of religion begins to decline as the followers come to disagree on the meaning and application of the divine teachings, and the community of the faithful eventually becomes divided into contending sects and denominations. Now, Vasanta was talking about these sects and denominations. It comes because the followers are disagreeing on the meaning of the holy words. So every religion is a true religion. They are all holy words. They are all from God. When does it lose the power? When we, the followers, disagree in their meaning. Now we are here trying to come to common understanding. Now we have to see this, that the concept of progressive revelation that Baha'u'llah explains, which may be there in all the other religions, may not be so explicitly said, but impliedly there, because every manifestation of God has testified to the previous manifestation and promised another manifestation to come. So the progressive revelation is implied, but Baha'u'llah has explicitly said the concept of progressive revelation, and he explains that God reveals to mankind in successive steps according to the needs and capacities of the people at that time. Now, the other quotation that I was mentioning that Shoghi Effendi said about Baha'i faith relationship to others, he says, no, I have shared this in the past as well, but I find it very important to understand for the Baha'is. Also, sometimes we think that our faith is the faith that has to solve the problems, and everything else is in the oblivion. No, when I read Shoghi Effendi's quotation, my understanding is different. Nor does the Baha'i revelation, claiming as it does to be the culmination of a prophetic cycle and the fulfillment of the promise of all ages, attempt under any circumstances to invalidate those first and everlasting principles that animate and underline the religions that have preceded it. The God-given authority vested in each one of them, it admits and establishes as its firmest and ultimate basis. It regards them in no other light except as different stages in the eternal history and constant evolution of one religion, divine and indivisible, of which it itself forms but an integral part. So Baha'i faith is an integral part of that one religion, and all the other religions are also the integral part of that one religion. It neither seeks to obscure their divine origin nor to dwarf the admitted magnitude of their colossal achievements. It can countenance no attempt that seeks to distort their features or to stultify the truths which they instill. Its teachings do not deviate a hairbreadth from the verities they enshrine, nor does the weight of its message detract one jot or one tittle from the influence they exert or the loyalty they inspire. Far from aiming at the overthrow of the spiritual foundation of the world's religious system, its avowed, its unalterable purpose is to widen their basis, to restate their fundamentals, to reconcile their aims, to reinvigorate their life, to demonstrate their oneness, to restore the pristine purity of their teachings, to coordinate their functions, and to assist in the realization of their highest aspirations. This is what I wanted to emphasize. Now, I please plead to everyone here, both Baha'is and others, that as a Baha'i, we are not saying that this is the religion that you have to accept and you have to abandon whatever you believe. No. And we also ask every other religious followers, do not claim that what you follow is the right one, everything else is wrong. These are all integral part of one religion, and it is progressive in nature. If we view in this way, they are all true religions, and we will not argue or contend that to establish one is right and the other one is wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Siva. That's a whole topic in itself, because many religions, their exclusiveness is a fundamental truth, and we can't just say that it's not. So there's the internal contradiction in the interfaith movement. That's a whole nother subject. And the fact that we can all work together and enjoy each other's company is that's probably a miracle.
Yes. And any other comments, Robert, Perumal, in? Yes.
One thing, Guardian says that this ancient root, or Baha'u'llah says this ancient root, it's talking about a tree with ancient root. So it's one religion, as you said.
Yes.
As Guardian has said, one religion, all religions are one.
Yes. And after reading these words over and over again, now how I look at it when I read the Bible or Quran or any other verses, if there to me appears there is some contradiction between one religious holy words and another religious holy words, what I do, or what I try to, how I try to reconcile them is that I assume that my understanding of religion A is wrong, or religion B is wrong, or my understanding of both are wrong. And on that premise, I try to work out how I can elevate my understanding so that they become reconciled. Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you. Well, I enjoyed the contributions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say a quick one? Can I say a very quick one?
Yes.
You know the song that we heard is tonight, the song, the sweetest water in the world.
Yes.
Why don't we drink it?
Yes.
Why don't we drink the sweet water that we saw? Because they're not safe to drink. And why? It might come from the environment that's not suitable for human drinking. And so therefore, when you talk about every disease,
yes,
we have to talk about the nature and the environment and the dust and the wind and the rain. And so the light also, so we have to say whether the earth is safe, whether the earth is the one who nourishes us or the earth is the one who makes people have disease. And then therefore from the disease, from the body, go to the brain. So that's what the question we have to look into, and that belongs to medical science.
Thank you. And the sweetest water, I think the song is referring to the words of God. Yes. But yes, in the nature there are many challenges, but man has contributed to some of these, and the rest is mysterious plan of God, which we don't have any recourse to solve. But one thing is for sure, that God has given us capacity to solve all the problems that we are going to face. And he is giving the guidance how to. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Siva.
Thank you, Ave Maria.
everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.